Stay tuned for today's Antidote, brought to you by the Renegade Success Network. Today's Antidote features a healthy dose of thought-provoking insights and information for business owners, entrepreneurs, leaders, and nonprofit professionals. Each day since March of 2020, this program has offered that one thing to help you continue on your own unique pathway to success. And now, Renegades, we bring you Bob Graham and Tom Brush.
Hey, Tom, happy Friday, an hour early.
Yes, indeed. It is Friday. It is an hour early. Good morning.
These are the times when I realize how much we care about doing this. When we get up early and when we still bring it home, when we could have said, let's do it at 10:30 or let's skip it altogether.
Sure.
So congratulations on that. I think it's great that we both show up here and we're on time, and I don't have to worry that you'll be late and you don't have to worry about me being late.
That is true. That is true. It is one thing that we could celebrate today.
That's it.
So thanks everyone for joining us on today's Antidote, our daily broadcast podcast, whether you're listening or watching, where we have a conversation around our topic. We had a great topic this week. It's actually a topic we talked about last week as well, how Renegades roll. Although this week we dove in a lot more into their roles, R-O-L-E, and how they serve as renegades in those R-O-L-E roles. It's funny that I have to tell you this story because it's kind of funny. I don't know. I find it interesting. So I had to do this facilitation this week and at a board meeting. And they have 3 people who are named Lynn, 2 women and a man, on this board. And I walk into the room, and aren't they sitting right next to each other? So, and they each spell their names differently. So one was like L-Y-N-N, one was L-I-N, and the other was L-Y-N. L-Y, yeah. So anyhow, I got to the point where when I recognized them or asked them to speak, I would end up spelling out, okay, L with the 1 Y and 1 N, or L with the 1 Y and 2 N's, or the Lynn with no Y. So I just got into, I guess that set me up very well for this week when we were talking about roles, R-O-L-E. Sorry, not that. Kind of a diversion from where we're at, and I just found that interesting.
Come on, Tom, we got to keep moving. We got to get to discoveries of the week. Dun, 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 dun.
You want to lay out? Because in the past, I don't know how many weeks, but over 411 episodes, at the end of the week, we did our weekly wrap-up.
Yep.
We were fortunate enough that one of our listeners commented last week. And
actually, I think I said it, and he wrote it in the comments.
Oh,
I
so
think
you're
I
taking credit for
it. I am, because I went back and looked.
This is why we switched it after
right.
400 plus episodes. It's because it was your idea.
That's exactly right.
It all comes clear now.
You folks, you have no idea how much is behind that statement.
Yes. Anyhow. So either way, so this is where we wrap up.
In a good way, right, Tom?
What's that?
In a good way.
In a very good way, sure. This is where we wrap up the discussion for the week. As we do every day, we try to find that one thing. And so as Bob said, we are now going to go into discoveries of the week rather than just a weekly wrap up, which is a little more actionable. It's a little more clear about that one thing that we discovered during the week. And I think it kind of came from, we would have a conversation around sort of what we learned, and then we would say our one thing. So it's kind of like a little duplication of effort, I guess. So yes. Let's chat about the week then, Bob.
Well, first, shouldn't we celebrate?
Of course we should. Apologies. How could I forget that the first thing we always do is celebrate. What, you must have something really good to celebrate.
No,
besides the fact that we switched to the subject of today's episodes, Friday's episodes, to Weekly Discovers.
I am going to celebrate the fact that you and I find ways to do things together that we could never accomplish, either one of us apart. We worked on something yesterday. We'll work on it again, I hope, later today. And the result was far greater than either of us could have accomplished on our own. And I appreciate the fact we had an open dialogue. I never think about, well, I can't say that to Tom, he'll get his feelings hurt. It's always just towards the goal. And that's not always the case in business or in any kind of endeavor. So I was thinking about that last night and just celebrating that whole idea that we could actually work together and really be working on a goal, not ego, not you hurt my feelings. No, I think that's a stupid idea and get offended. That's rare.
Oh, absolutely. I would agree. And that's a great thing to celebrate. It's funny. We do it so often that I don't think about it, which is a great reason to celebrate it. So often those things that we might want to be celebrating or possibly should consider celebrating are things that we do all the time, and we don't think about them as a celebration. And yet that is a great thing to be celebrating. So I'm glad you shared that. Thank you. I'm celebrating that this weekend I get to get back on the college lacrosse field. I'm going up to Cornell University to do a college lacrosse, women's lacrosse clinic for officials. I'm a college official for those who are maybe new to the show, and trying to move to the next level, take the next step in my officiating career. So I'm excited about
in your own unique journey towards the best official you can be, right?
Correct. Absolutely. Very
You're
well
being
done.
your own renegade.
Yes, indeed. So
plenty of people would say you're too old, right?
There are probably a lot of people who would say that I'm too old.
Oh, okay, but therein lies the renegade part, right?
Sure.
And I think that's one of the things that I was thinking about this week is that we can be renegades in all parts of our lives. It doesn't just have to be professional. It can be personal. It can be in relationships. It can be anything. And I think that's the exciting part to me. And this part for you, well, it's part of your professional life. It's also part of your personal life. You exercise a lot. You keep yourself in shape. And you don't look or act the age that you are when it comes to physical activity. Take it from someone who's a couple years older than you, and I act and look my age. I can own that.
Sometimes.
With the gray across here. Sometimes, fair enough.
Maybe look, act. Jury's out on that one a little bit.
Okay.
All right, so now that we've shared what we're celebrating, what are we celebrating on behalf of the world?
This is National Punctuation Day. So shout out to all the semicolons, the colons, the ampersands, which they had their own day, the commas, the periods, the exclamation marks, the question marks, the brackets, the parentheses, the dashes, the hyphens. Those guys, they're the workhorses of sentences, let me tell you. And
it is amazing how something so small could have been such a headache for me these 54 years of my life.
I will tell you this, Tom.
You love them, though, don't you?
I figured out that punctuation, those little things, each do a different thing in a sentence, and that you can actually control a person's mind and how they read the words. Putting a period at the end of the sentence is different than a semicolon. Putting a hyphen in the middle and adding a word and then closing it with another hyphen changes the whole sentence. And once I figured out that to me is like quantum physics to a mathematician or a scientist. It is like, I love the art of it. I love finding the right punctuation. And I also love when people get it horribly wrong.
That's why you like me so well, huh?
I wasn't going to say that, but I have had my share of getting to work with your punctuation. But to me, it's like it works so effortlessly. And I know I'm the exception, and I've also taught punctuation in college classrooms, in high school classrooms. I've done workshops on it. I've done it a lot. And believe it or not, and you're going to find this out this weekend if you haven't already, you don't really know something until you have to teach it. Because then you have to understand every aspect of it. And
True.
you take the questions and you're like, oh, that's a great question. I never really thought about that.
Sure. No, I would agree. I would agree. And it's interesting. I never thought about. I mean, I've always known that punctuation can dramatically change the meaning of a grouping of words. I never thought about it as mind control. That's what you've been doing to me all these years, using punctuation to control my mind.
Not me, many people.
A unique role for you.
Anyone that's my renegade. That's how I am as a renegade. But that's what a writer does. They make choices, right? You make word choices,
Certainly.
You make punctuation choices, and punctuation seems to be lost in the shuffle a lot. I'm going to tell you, it can make or break a really good experience. And Mary Hassler's with us this morning. Good morning, Mary. And Mary says, I see a book in your future, The Art of Punctuation. Oh, Mary, that is brilliant. I love that. Tom, I could, like I'm sitting here right now writing the first chapter. Oh, Mary, you've made my day. Thank you so much. I might take that home with me and like work on it.
Interesting. I'm trying to get him to write another book, Mary. So we'll put that in the line of books.
Here's the thing, Tom. Mary is the director of the Harford County Public Libraries outside of Baltimore. So she's a legit, when we talk books, Mary knows her stuff. So Mary's thinking there might be a book there. I got to think hard about that. And I love the art of punctuation. Wow. I'm good. I'm going to be lost for the rest of the episode, Tom. Let me just tell you.
Something new and different. So. All right, everyone. So let's have a conversation about fire. Let's have a conversation about our week. What we talked about. So for those who haven't gone back and watched or haven't had a chance to view all of them, and we talked about roles this week. Again, ROLE, better at spelling sometimes than punctuation. We talked about entrepreneurs, small business owners, organizational leaders, and then yesterday, nonprofit professionals. All people who we shared a little bit about how they, in and of themselves in their role, have a great opportunity to be renegades, just in the roles that they have chosen to take on. Because there are many things about each of those roles that are them making their own choice, them choosing to go down that pathway for one reason or another. And really, that is, one of probably the clearest ways to define a renegade is you're standing at a crossroads and you make a choice and you decide, I am going to choose this pathway. Now, you can head down that pathway and then turn into everyone else. Or you can turn into be the leader, business owner, nonprofit professional that you choose to be and not do it the way everyone else has done it. Any thoughts about that, Bob, about our discussions this week?
I think the thing that really has come to me over the week in our discussions, is some discussions with other people, is that once you become a renegade in your thought process, it affects all aspects of your life. And I'll give you a great example, Tom. I've read probably 30 or 40 different punctuation books. I've never heard the phrase mind control in one of them, not once. I said that this morning on the program, somewhat humorously, but also somewhat seriously. And from that, it led to a discussion of writing a book, The Art of Punctuation. And where most people would say, you know what? I don't think that's great. There are already so many books out there. My thought right now is that would be a different voice. That might actually be a great contribution. And I don't highlight it to highlight me. I really don't. I do it to highlight the fact that once you start thinking like a renegade, that what if question is embedded. And we talked about 4 specific areas of expertise this week: small business owners, entrepreneurs, nonprofit professionals, and organizational leaders. Look at that. I got all 4.
Good for you. Nice job.
Almost everyone fits in that bucket. But at the same time, there are people outside that bucket who are renegades. And we achieved great things as a civilization because of the renegades. The people following the status quo are humming along. They're singing the same song over and over and over. The people who are the renegades are the ones singing the high notes, and they're doing the low notes, and they're going doop 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 doo. They're going doo 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 doo. After our introduction, those are the renegades. The renegades are adding the flavor to the song of life. And that flavor, it doesn't mean that every time you say a note, you sing a note, it's the right note. You've done singing. I've done singing. You know, sometimes like, whoa, whoa, time out. That should not be an F sharp, dude. Try again. But they are the ones that create the symphony. They're the ones that create that really robust sound that we appreciate. When you hear good music and all the instruments and all the people are coming together in a beautiful way, that's a combination. And renegades are that piece that make that combination more vibrant, more expressive, more exciting.
Nice analogy. I like that. I like that. Well, it's interesting the way I was reading something yesterday on LinkedIn. A colleague of mine wrote about how change, they use the phrase change sucks. And as I read it, I mean, and I understand a lot of people don't like change because I think they think about it in all the big changes that happen, and that sometimes change leads to things that they would deem as negative or, you know, impactful or scary or whatever. And, you know, what I responded to the post on LinkedIn was, we're changing all the time. Every interaction that we have. And it's interesting. I use a phrase, something like anytime our senses interact. So if we hear something, we see it, we smell it, taste it, that changes who we are. We have a new experience that sometimes provides new knowledge and other times provides just a different perspective that impacts who we are. You know, if you've never eaten red pepper before, or had red pepper in, let's say, your chili, and now you've had it, it's a very different and very unique experience that now changes who you are. And those interactions with our senses may have a very minute change to who we are, or they may have a significant change. And so I think that if we embrace that we are constantly changing, that who we are is being impacted by everything every day, that change becomes less scary. And it becomes more just a part of how we grow and how we move forward. And I think renegades accept that. And they're not as scared by change because they know that they're changing all the time and they're being impacted. And what is real for them in the moment is going to be impacted in the next moment.
Can I ask Tom, you said they come to accept that. Do they accept it, or do they just become more comfortable with the discomfort? Because there are times when I'm acting like renegade, but like I'm still thinking about this book, and my brain is saying to me over and over and over, you don't have a degree in English, you have a degree in communications. You don't have the resume that would make you the guy to write the punctuation book. But the other side of my head is saying, you know what, Bob? That might be what makes that a great book, because you come at it from a completely outside perspective, the perspective of a renegade. So I wonder, I don't know that I always accept the things, and there's certainly the trepidation when I've stood on stages and spoken and talked in ways that the people are like, well, I don't know if that's going to work. And I've done it uncomfortably, but confidently in that way, not accepting it always. So I wanted to capture that nuance, because I think if we're saying renegades accept that they're different and they're going to do things their own way, I'm not sure I buy that fully. I think you might come to it over time, but your first day that you say, hey, Tom, I'm a renegade, you're like, Tom, I'm a renegade. You know, and for those of you on the podcast, I'm putting my hand in front of my face. I'm kind of hiding, because that's a scary thing. And I've seen people come to me and say, I read the book about being a renegade, and I think I'm a renegade. And thank you. When they say that, they don't say it like, I'm a renegade. They say like, I think Bob, I think I might be a renegade. It's like, if you said that out loud, I got news for you. You are a renegade. And the other great discovery of the week for me, Thomas, we're all renegades, one way or another, because otherwise, how boring would life be if you only did the status quo all day long? So someone put peanut butter and chocolate together and made a Reese's peanut butter cup. And someone's gonna put fruit on top of their spaghetti.
Just don't put it on top of your dessert.
I did that on purpose. I knew exactly what I would get. But the renegade thing, we talk about in such big terms sometimes. You know, I've been listening to our episodes and it sounds so big, but it starts small. It could start with just, you know, it's National Punctuation Day. I never really understood how to use a comma. I use a lot of commas in my writing. I should probably understand that. And this guy said, maybe, you know, there's a mind control element of that. Maybe I should start playing around with that idea in my head and see what that really means to me, because that's not how they taught me in 9th grade. That's not how they taught me in 11th grade. That's not what my college teacher said when I screwed up commas. And that's a renegade thought, to say, hey, you know what? This is an area I may not understand. I want to delve into it just to explore it. You can always walk away, right?
Certainly. Well, and I think part of it is that you start to recognize when you are making decisions that are because they are exactly what you want to do, that you consciously make those decisions. And I think that, you know, I would offer that I didn't, even though I think I had done a lot of things throughout my life that would be considered a renegade, I'm not sure I identified that. I'm not sure I understood. I was just doing what was real for me at the moment, based on my knowledge, experience, and perspective. And I think what I've started to realize is that as I've defined it, and I think that we have the opportunity, you and I have defined renegade in a certain way. Mm-hmm. And I think others, being true renegades, have the opportunity to define it in their way. And I think it's once you start to realize that, that may be the way I have been acting for a while. And now you're just putting a name to it. And now you're giving it a little more clarity. And now it's more driving a little bit about what you do, not just the reality of the way you have been. I think is when we really come to better understand and better consider and think differently about how we're going to move forward. I think it can, just like a period, can change how you think, identifying yourself as a renegade and consciously now starting to think about, am I doing this because it's just what everybody else does? Or am I doing this intentionally because this is what I want to do? This is the way I want to be. You know, I think the nonprofit professional who starts an organization didn't necessarily stand out and say, well, I'm doing this because I'm different than everyone else and I want to do something in my own way. They looked and saw a challenge and they tried to address it. Same with a small business owner. They saw something was missing and they chose, I want to try to solve that the way I want to solve it. And I think once we do start to do things like that, we can then start to see how we might be a renegade, which then starts to get us in. How do we incorporate that into whatever role, ROLE, we have?
Tom, I hate to do it, but we need to get moving because I got to be somewhere. I know I'm very busy. I'm very important. There's a punctuation book to write. Although the name, The Art of Punctuation, is already taken.
All right. So what's your discovery of the week?
My discovery is what I said, that we're all renegades in our own way, and that we can embrace that, we can move towards that, or we can kind of hide from it. And those that embrace it tend to have great things happen to them over time.
Great. All right, everyone. Well, thanks so much for joining us. If you have something that you discovered this week, please feel free to put it in the comments if you are watching us on Facebook or on YouTube. Or you can always send us a message If you are watching the podcast, tell us, give us some feedback, share a thought or idea in there. And as always, you can always join our Ring of Renegades Facebook community, where we are helping others take their own unique pathway to success. It's easy to do. Just go to Facebook, search for Ring of Renegades. It is a private group, so all you have to do is ask to join and tell us why you're a renegade, and you can become a part of that growing community. So for that, that's a wrap on how Renegades roll, unless we decide to bring it back again next week, although I think we have a new topic for next week that we will unveil on Monday morning. Some other cool things that we're hoping to unveil on Monday morning. So we hope that if we don't see you inside the Ring of Renegades Facebook group, we'll see you right back here Monday morning, 8 a.m., back at our regular time, Eastern time, which probably means 8:05, on Monday morning for our next edition of today's Antidote. Have a great day, everyone. We will see you soon.
Embrace the renegading you.
Thanks for listening to today's Antidote, powered by the Renegade Success Network. The Renegade Success Network helps you confidently create your own unique pathway to success. To learn more about the Renegade Success Network and how you can take your next step, follow us on Twitter, connect on LinkedIn, or join the Ring of Renegades Facebook group. For full details on how you can join our community, go to renegadesuccessnetwork.com. Embrace the renegade in you.